Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin We the Species. I always like to do chronological. It's December 8th, so we are 17 days from Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. It's an interesting journey how Omni, Casey, and I got put together, and we have this common denominator, Nanda. I could never pronounce her name really well. Disu, I guess. She's been great. PR person, California. She is this great, wonderful matchmaker, and she had put me in touch with Omni some weeks ago. And he's a really busy guy, a real estate guy. We're going to talk about that. We've been working on finding some time, and the time is now. And we just did a little session beforehand, just for me to absorb so this is an amazing, I say this and I mean it, I shoot from the hips, an amazing personality and an amazing journey, and real estate is at the hub of this, but there's so many more elements to this that I want to share. And he's also written a book, which I will Cash Flow Breakfast Club, which is kind of cool because it was a great movie, The Breakfast Club, I think in the 80s, with the Rat Pack, whatever they were called, the Brat Pack, actually. The Brat Pack. So the Cash Flow Breakfast, we're going to talk about that. And another little teaser, Omni retired at the age of 30 because he was that successful. So there's a lot of stuff for you folks out there to learn. So I've done my monologue. In the vernacular, this was my Johnny Carson monologue. Omni. And it's funny when I say this, sometimes people, because I do a lot of Gen Zs and millennials, and they look at me blankly. What am I talking about? I said, never mind. Never mind. Anyway, I'm thrilled that we're able to do this. And why don't you jump in and do a little bio and bring yourself to our viewers.
Yeah, thank you, Calvin. I appreciate the invite, and I'll second your shout out to Nanda. She is a lifesaver. She runs my life at this point. Every time I think about, hey, I want to do something new, I want to start a new venture, or in this case, I wrote a book and I need to just get it out there and publish it. And if I'm going to do that, I wanted to do it right, but I just was not equipped. So there's a great book called Who Not How that I read a while ago, and it's not how are you going to do something, it's who do you need to find and bring onto your team to get it done. So Nanda is definitely my who for so many things, the PR, the promotion, and the book, and she's just amazing. So can't recommend her enough. But back to your initial question. My story starts in Hawaii. I'm a real estate investor. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. My book, The Cash Flow Breakfast Club, is kind of it's my story. For the most part, it is a fictional power parable format, just because I initially wrote it as an autobiography. I just was not comfortable like putting it out there as like fully my story. So I created a fictional character called Dan Carter. Happened to grow up in Hawaii, happened to get into real estate investing, happened to find mentors, coaches, and masterminds, and put a lot of my actual transactions in the book, so you get some practical knowledge in there. But it was much easier for me to tell the story and create this community where someone might live vicariously through Dan or one of the other characters and figure out what do they need to do to understand real estate investing. It's so misunderstood. We're having this conversation just before it, right? Real estate seems to be a very misunderstood category, if you will. I get all the time people asking me to compare real estate, investing in real estate particularly, to investing in what other things that we invest, right? We all have 401ks, and we invest in the stocks and bonds and mutual funds and crypto and whatever else there is, right? It's just not the same. It's not the same. And the reason people kind of put it in the same category, and in reality, more people are comfortable investing in stocks, bond. It's just easier to do that. You push a button and you're going to allocate X% of your portfolio to this bond or this stock or this mutual fund, and someone's going to manage it for you. And you don't need to have knowledge of what that is, right? You need to just be able to hire somebody that knows what they're doing and you're trusting them. But in real estate, you need knowledge. You absolutely need that knowledge. And I was blessed at an early age to get interested in
When
real
did
estate.
you, what age?
Yeah, I was
You,
20, just early 2020, maybe just 21 or so
okay,
is really when
you
I
got
got
interested.
into it. Yeah, I worked at a surf shop actually.
Oh,
I
wow.
sold surfboards. I fixed up surfboards, and I was a lifeguard and worked at a surf shop. So that was typical, in Hawaii.
Yeah,
That's what you would
yeah.
probably want to do, right? My passion was the beach. And if someone says follow your passion, I'm telling you, if I followed my passion, I'd be living on the beach right now, selling surfboards still. And so probably not the right advice for someone depending on what age you are, because following my passion did not pay off and I could not make the impact that I wanted to if I did that. But I had fun doing it. But I always had this goal, and my parents were very entrepreneurial. My dad owned businesses. My mom had at home businesses, and I just saw that when I wanted to be a business owner, I didn't want to work for anyone else. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was fascinated with businesses and started a few businesses, growing up. And it just turned out I stumbled across real estate and understood that that was a business as well. Being a real estate investor is an amazing business. Being a real estate agent and a broker is a business as well. And so I lucked into finding a mentor while working at that surf shop, actually selling a surfboard to him,
Oh,
and
wow.
basically was able to start a conversation up and kind of connected over a mutual interest. And I almost insisted my way into becoming his apprentice or his mentee, and just said, "What can I do for you?" I wasn't looking for a job. I was just saying, "What can I do for you? I'm going to show up at your job site and I'm going to put in some work, and I want to just learn from you." And that was my segue into learning about the real estate investing
Right.
world. I feel very, very fortunate. One thing I think has blessed me throughout my years is finding the right mentors, because you need multiple mentors, coaches, and groups, mastermind groups, to really excel to that level. I got really good at making money in real estate, and I became a real estate agent. Got really good at making money as a real estate agent as well. But then I realized what probably everyone realizes: the moment I stop, if I go on vacation, if I get tired, and I'm not selling homes or whatever it may be, I'm not making money, right? So it's proportion to my effort and my energy, and I needed to figure out how to get something that was in perpetuity, something that was passive, regardless of my efforts, because I knew at some point I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop whatever I was doing, but still have money coming in. And that's where real estate as a passive income,
Yes.
primarily through rental incomes, right? There's many different types of rental incomes, but I focused on residential and multifamily for the vast majority of my career. And you stack up enough of those passive rental incomes, you have someone else managing the property for you, managing the tenants, and you're just getting the profit. And if you invest correctly, that passive income doesn't go away. And it doesn't matter if I'm on vacation, doesn't matter what I'm earning actively, I get the same amount, and that continues to grow and grow and grow. And so I was able to come up with what I now call the cash flow freedom equation. So a lot of people talk about financial freedom. And when you mentioned I retired, I don't like the word retire because I still work very, very
I
hard
know.
today. I
I
don't know if I'll
know.
ever retire, because I just love working and building. But I became financially free, meaning I didn't need to work, right? I didn't need to work because regardless of my active income, my job or whatever it was at that point, I had rental income coming in, supporting my lifestyle, supporting my baseline expenses. And so you figure out, what does it cost to be me? Right. And that's different for everyone. That might be $50,000 a year for someone. That might be $1 million a year for someone, right? Everyone has a different lifestyle expense. And then you do the math backwards and you just say, okay, how many rental properties do I need to get to that number? Right. And that might take you 2 years, that might take you 10 years, but you put some focus in. And so that's what I did. I put my head down, bought as many rental properties that I could. And that allowed me to, quote unquote, be financially free and retire. And then think about, what did I actually want to do with my life? turns out I loved real estate investing. So I just said, okay, I'm going to shift. I'm going to do something different within real estate investing. Actually became a broker in the real estate space and have my own office, about 100 agents that I coach and train. And that gives me, one, it's a business in of itself, but it allows me to kind of make an impact on hopefully many other lives as well, beyond just what I'm doing here. So I love shifting. I love building businesses. I do so many things within the real estate space, but understanding real estate, I think, is so essential for most people if they want to achieve that financial freedom or that cash flow freedom equation, because you are able to do it and you are able to almost hack the system, if you will, and figure out, all right, I don't need to work until I'm 60, 70 and then retire the traditional way. I might be able to do it in 5 or 10 years if I really put my head down and I have the knowledge and I take advantage of those opportunities. So I've been, excited to get that message out, because that's exactly the message in the book, The Cash Flow Breakfast Club. It kind of tells my story, what anyone can do to become financially free. And it's not hard. It's just work. And it's sacrificed for a period of time until you hit that financial freedom. I just believe that we all have an obligation to try and figure out what's our potential. And if we're not fulfilling our potential, we're just not meeting that obligation that we have to at least ourselves, our family, or even a higher power to achieve what we're meant to achieve. So I'm excited to help as many people as possible do that through this book. And I have a group called the Cash Flow Breakfast Club. It's an actual in-person education group as well. And we're expanding that throughout the US in about 100 different markets over the next couple of years. That's our plan.
That is so cool. Again, we said it before we went on air, of us. There's so many things out there to learn. I'm a health freak, and boom, and a little stock market and this. But again, just to take a yellow highlighter to highlight what you do is the world of real estate and rental. I mean, all of that is so hugely misunderstood, and it's there. It's in our lives every day. So, the Cash Flow Breakfast Club should be, there was a great movie. I'm an old movie person. We were talking about that. One of my favorites, it's not an old movie, but it's called Moonstruck, when Cher slaps Nicolas Cage and tells him to snap out of it. It was a powerful scene, and I'm listening to you and digesting it in the Cash Flow Breakfast Club. It's almost like it's a slap in the face. Read it and learn about this, because we live on a very finite place and planet, and real estate. But real estate. It's funny. I just read something about real estate in Manhattan. Exploding. It's still exploding, and it's like, when does it not explode? It will always explode. Correct?
Limited resources, right? They don't make more land, right? So there's so many things that they make more of. They don't make more land. And so understanding supply and demand and scarcity, that's basic economics that you can do across all sectors. But real estate is just something. They don't make more dirt, right? Until we colonize the moon or Mars and that becomes a competition, then that changes. But until then, we have what we have. And it's funny, I go on tangents a lot, and I just love real estate. I'll tell some stories, but you don't need to be that passionate about real estate to benefit from real estate. So I help many people that they're vaguely interested in real estate, but they own a bunch of real estate because they understand that helps them to meet their goal of financial freedom. They don't want to be a full-time real estate investor like I am, but they want to own real estate. They want that passive income so that they can go do what they want, right? People ask, I have 3 young kids, 8, 10, and 14, and I've been teaching them real estate investing principles, and probably more importantly, financial literacy principles. From a very, very young age, we play games that are tied around owning real estate.
Oh, wow.
And on the weekend, they go out with me and we look at old properties that just need to be fixed up.
Wow.
And so they're getting that hands-on experience. And
Wow.
I will say, out of my 3 kids, they're all interested at a different level. And I get asked from other parents that want to do the same thing, like, well, what if one of your kids did not want to be in real estate or was not excited about real estate like you are? And, first off, I was like, well, I think I would be a little bummed, but I thought about it even more. I'm like, you know what? They don't need to be that excited about real estate. Like, if my daughter wanted to be a ballerina, she can go be a ballerina as long as she's making her money in real estate. Like, just use those principles and buy your rental properties and have your passive income so it can go fund your passion. Her passion might be dance, or might be something that's not going to pay her at all ever, or maybe she might need to start up a business that won't pay her for a very, very long period of time. She'll have that foundation of real estate, funding her dream at some point. So it's less about real estate. It's less about being passionate about real estate. I look at, I keep coming back to our obligation. I mentioned this to you earlier. So much of what I'm doing is guilt based, right?
This is so important.
Yeah,
This is so important.
it's for the last 20 years, put my head down, and we're very private people, my wife and I, and if it were up to just what we felt like doing, we probably wouldn't tell anyone we were real estate investors ever. We probably wouldn't talk about it. And that's what we did most of our career. It started out with, we had no right talking to people because we were still trying to figure it out ourselves, right? And then we got to the point where we figured it out and we're seeing the level of success, but it's to the point of, do we really want to talk about it, right? So there's this privacy issue. And then it just went on for a very long period of time. And it got to the point of, you look up almost 20 years later, and there's so many people that have not even put the thought in their mind of they should be doing this. Or maybe they have, but they never had anyone to talk to about it, and they never took that path. So there's friends, there's family, there's just colleagues that I probably could have helped and should have helped a long time ago that I just didn't, because I just was selfish in terms of my comfort level was not talking about it. My comfort level was not putting a spotlight on me. But because of that, I didn't have as many conversations that I should have. And so right now I'm all about trying to get out of my comfort zone, trying to get out of where I need to talk about it all the time. And I published a book so that I can talk about it. I go on podcasts so that I can talk about it, so that it opens up opportunities to have those conversations, to figure out, is this something that they should be looking into? Do they have a question? Can I help them with that question? And really, I'm trying to, through guilt, make up for the guilt that I have. And I start to think about, all right, why do I feel that guilt? Or why have I been feeling that guilt? And it's because I feel I have this moral obligation, which I didn't think of before, but right now it feels like I should have had this moral, almost like ethical obligation to be helping people, which wasn't thinking about at the time, but now I am. And it's okay if other people don't feel that way. It's just, I believe our morals and ethics are internal based, right? It's, what do I feel? And so we think about, I was not meeting my own ethical and moral obligations by not becoming who I'm supposed to become as successful, or become as known, or become as whatever it may be, because me achieving those levels of success, or just brand, if you will, allows me to help more people. So we have a holiday party coming up in my office, and it's a superhero themed holiday party, which we pick a random theme. So I was thinking, okay, what kind of superhero are we dressing up to go to this Christmas party to? And so obviously Superman is one of the most well-known superheroes out there. And I was just looking through this just about 2 weeks ago, and I ended up picking a different costume, but Superman, that theme, there's a quote from the show. I don't know if it's a show or the actual movie, but like, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And it's basically someone telling Superman that you have this power that other people don't have. So you have to, like, live up to your responsibility. And if we just think about, if Superman, it's one of the tangents that I go on, if Superman just stayed at home and decided to just watch football and drink all day, and that was hit, and he's like, I have this power, but I don't want to use it, I don't want to help anyone, right? We would all feel like, man, that's not right. And just think about, like, each of us have a great power and a great responsibility to do something great. I believe that in this world, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for your family, whether it's your community, whether it's for life, like, we all have the potential to, like, just change the world to an effect. And we don't know what that potential is, right? And we have this power, but so many of us never get to the point of reaching our maximum potential. And so we never have the ability to figure out how big can we get, how much influence, how much impact can we make. I was at a high school a couple weeks ago. Every once in a while, I go in as a guest presenter, speak on economics or real estate market or whatever it may be. The topic this time around was, I think, the role real estate plays in the American dream. And I'm sitting in this group of, I think there were maybe 11th graders or so. And I started out by just saying, everyone here has the potential to change the world. Like, you are meant to change the world. You are meant to change the world. And so just let that sink in. Let's just assume you believe me and you are meant to change the world. I touch base with you 5 or 10, 15, 20 years from now, and you've done nothing to change the world. Why would that be? Let's just hypothetically say that's the case. And I'm asking you, why did you not change the world? And hands went up, and the answer was the same for everyone. They didn't have the money to do it. They didn't have the time or the money. And so I talk about money a lot. I really don't care about money. But money or financial freedom is really the barrier that most people need to get to have the time to go try to change the world, right? So it's not because you need to be rich or you need to have more money than your neighbors or whatever it may be. It really comes down to, if you want to change the world and you believe that you're meant to make an impact somehow, like, you now have the obligation to become successful and to become financially free, because that's when you're going to have the time to focus on whatever your gift is, whatever your passion is, that just might change the world. And so I'm hoping I made an impact with 1 or 2 of them in there, but I talk about that quite often. It's like, we use real estate as a tool. We use money as a tool, and I don't care
freedom to do
passionate
that.
about it or not. Yeah, but go figure out how you're going to change the world once you're financially free. And so we put you on a path to become financially free through real estate, and then go figure out what you're going to do to change the world.
Wow, that's heavy stuff. There's an old saying, it may be biblical in its origin, and I use it all the time. And listening to you now, the guilt-based in your whole discussion. Anyway, it's he or she who saves a life saves the world.
Hmm.
And I use this all the time, and it's powerful. So even reaching, as you said, even you reach 1 or 2 kids in a high school class, that's a wow.
Absolutely.
I want to go off topic.
Sure.
Just one quick question off topic. It's one of my favorite questions. Actually, you don't have to answer it, but I'll throw it at you anyway. Here's and you can answer it with a couple answers, but anyway, here it goes. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
That's a great question.
It's a very good question.
It's a really good question.
Yeah, it is.
Living or dead that you'd want to spend the day with.
It could be a few answers.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in history that obviously, and I think I've been blessed. I've been able to meet a lot of my heroes. Maybe not spend the day with them, but meet a lot of my heroes and get amazing mentors in place. But I love sports, and so as a young kid growing up in Hawaii, our favorite team, we didn't have any pro teams out there, but our pro team, if you were, in the NBA was the Lakers, because they would come out and play their preseason games every single year there. So that kind of became our default team. And when they drafted Kobe Bryant, who rest in peace, is not so he was one, not just an amazing player, but I saw him as a business owner as well. I saw him on his drive and his relentless willingness to work harder than everyone else. And I took on that persona in business, if you will.
Yeah.
I played basketball, but I was never anywhere near the level of his success. But I just said, hey, you know what? If I put in more hours, if I put in more work, if I was more driven than anyone else, then I can get to what might take someone 30 years. I can condense that into 5 years or 8 years or 10 years. And I saw that drive from him. So I still hit screensaver on my phone, and my alarm clock when I get up, it's called the Mamba mentality, which is
Oh,
tied to
wow.
his theme there.
Yeah.
Really just says, you know what, just work harder, and be grateful, and feel blessed that you have the ability to work harder, because at some point you might not. So I think if I had the ability to spend a day with anyone and to just,
That's
pick into
great.
the mindset, it would absolutely be Kobe Bryant.
Great answer. Great answer. Well, we just found some commonality, Omni. I played basketball. That was my sport,
Okay.
and I loved it. Actually, I was pretty good at it. A couple college scholarships, but my parents wouldn't let me play because they wanted me to study. And when I graduated Rutgers, I played industrial basketball, and then I was out in Chicago playing ball, hanging out with a girlfriend. People saw me playing ball, and again I was pretty good, even though that I was older. But
Sure.
anyway, they were going to arrange a tryout with the Chicago Bulls for me. This was pre Michael Jordan.
Wow.
But as it turns out, I wound up coming back to New Jersey, and we'll never know what
Sure.
we'll never know. But I love. It's funny. I just posted a picture of myself and a Rutgers basketball player who's playing pro. I just posted it right before you and I
Okay.
came on. Quasi Avoa, great basketball player. He was a transfer portal, so he came to Rutgers in his senior year, and he just lit the team up, and he was a leader, and he was really good, and he was clutch. So if you needed somebody to hit a 3-point shot with 3 seconds left to win the game, he would do it. We became friends.
I love that.
And actually, I used to mentor him because I'm really good on LinkedIn. And he wanted to have a presence
Okay.
on LinkedIn. So before he went to, he's playing ball in France, pro ball. And I interviewed him for the channel last year. And when he gets 3 or 4, and it's a long season in Europe. It's like almost a whole year. It's really long. So, but when he would get 3 or 4 or 5 days off, he'd hop in a car, he'd drive to Switzerland. It was great listening to him. And yes, I'm a huge fan of Kobe. And I have a hard time processing all that, as we all do,
Sure.
because nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing does make sense. Um, Looking at my notes, so you bought 46 properties last year. It's a lot of properties.
It's not as many as I wanted to buy.
Oh, okay. A lot of
My
properties.
my wife and I, so we normally don't buy 40 plus properties a year. It's, a handful, 5, 10, 15, depending on, our time, and our resources. And last year, it got to the point where, it was hard to buy properties. And I coach a lot of people, I train a lot of people, and it's like finding deals is hard. And that was the excuse everyone was using for not moving forward. And I said, yeah, it's hard, but just means you got to work harder, right? You got to go do something different, figure out a way to do something different. So I decided to set out a goal to purchase one property per week. So 52 properties in 52 weeks was the
Wow.
actual goal. And
Wow.
then I told the world I was going to do that. I posted about it. I went on
Wow.
some podcasts, and still not really knowing how I was going to do it. I just said, I'm going to set a big goal, and I'm going to prove that you can go get deals.
Wow.
And so 40, I fell short of that, but 46 was what I fell short to, which was our best year we've ever had.
Wow.
So I'm a big proponent of setting big goals, but working towards really hard to try to hit those goals. And so most of those were in the residential,
Uh-huh.
multifamily space. Some of it was commercial, and it helped us, obviously expand what we are looking to do, in terms of increasing our passive income and opportunities, that we're excited about in real estate.
Wow. You said something else when we were talking before. Why starting another company? Because it fulfills a purpose. And I thought that was rather poignant. Um,
Yeah, it's so much of so if I had to so I'm 41 now, and I lived my life in decades. And we didn't plan it out this way, but it just turned out this way. And like my 20s were about financial freedom. So I had to figure out by the end of my I was 20s, I wanted to be financially free, the baseline financial freedom, right? Just to so I could figure out what I wanted to do and actually, go make an impact. And then my 30s were about I had my growing my family at that point, right? I had kids, and so it's generational wealth, thinking about beyond just me, what's them and what am I setting up for them. And so that was establishing generational wealth and opportunities. And obviously it was in the real estate investing space. And then when I hit 40, it was like I had to figure out at the end of each decade, I predetermined that whatever I was going to do, I needed to stop doing, or if it was a business, get to the point that it was running by itself without me so that I could fire myself, retire, whatever it is, and start something new. And so every single decade, the goal is to start something new or start a new direction. Albeit it's been in real estate. But yeah, so my 40s are the mantra is about legacy. It's about, what am I doing to leave a legacy, leave an impact. And I'm still continuing to be a real estate investor. I'm still in the real estate coaching education space. But so much is how do I make an impact? How do I help as many people get to benefit from my knowledge, right? I should not be bottling my knowledge up. I should give it away freely, and hopefully that makes an impact on one person, on one family, on one community, on who knows.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm going to
yeah,
change the world by doing it.
correct.
And so that is the sole reason I published the book. That's the sole reason why I lead this group called the Cash Flow Breakfast Club. We have about 100 people that meet up every single month, and they are committed to becoming financially free through real estate, not so that they can be, the wealthiest people in the world, but so that they can figure out what their true potential
Right.
is and go change, right? And as of a few months ago, I realized that I wasn't thinking big enough, and I felt like I am changing lives here locally where I am, and but I kept turning down opportunities or requests from people to say, "Hey, your group, the Cashflow Breakfast Club, it looks like it's making a difference. Can I open one up in this area? Can I open one up in North Carolina? Can I open one?" And I just wasn't equipped to do that. And I'm like, how would I have the time to do that? And so I had to figure out, change the frame set and say, okay, who do I need to bring on my team so that I can expand? And so I put the team together. I'm currently putting the team together to help me expand. We opened one location up in Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
my hometown. My brother and his investing partners are running that out there as well right now. We have one coming up in North Carolina. So the goal is, and the plan is to open up 100 of these locations, all teaching the same thing. It's all free education to help people
Great.
that are committed to becoming financially free through this knowledge of real estate investing, so that they can go teach other people and then figure out what their purpose is. And hopefully we're making our impact from the inside out. So I'm excited about it. It's probably the thing that I'm most excited about in my entire life in terms of building. It's not a business, if you will. It's not a moneymaker by any means, but it is something that makes a huge impact. And I'm not going to say it's not a moneymaker. I think me leading this organization has brought me so many opportunities that I would not have had, whether they were properties, whether they were partnerships that have made a lot of money business wise because of that. But the actual education, because it's free, it's not a business, if you will. It is more of a passion project, and I've been blessed to partner with other investors like myself that are at a similar point that want to start giving back and leave an impact, and hopefully let their guilt drive them to give to their community, and hopefully make an impact in their area as well.
Wow. And what you just said, and I think we touched upon this before we went on air, the whole notion of giving back and the positivity of that. And I said, and I've been talking about that a lot, and I've been reading about that a lot and talking to people about that a lot. I said it, we're a smart species, but not smart enough, and we don't know a lot. We think we do, but we don't. But we really don't know a lot about this. and the whole notion of giving back, making you feel better, and the positivity that does stuff up here, even genetically, uh, uh, to promote a better life for yourself, and you know, I love giving back, and I love doing what I'm doing, and you know, I mentored at my peak. I was mentoring right before the pandemic. I wanted to give back like you do. So I got involved in Rutgers, my alma mater, and I started mentoring a student, then two officially. And then when kids find out there's somebody up there that can relate, I can relate, even though I'm old and I'm a half century older than a lot of these kids, half century. Uh, uh, Kids would contact me, and at my peak, I was mentoring 14 students a semester, and that was 3 or 4 days a week, back and forth to the diner on campus to talk to students, and I loved it. So I know what you're saying. It's a great feeling, and I know it keeps me well into my seventh decade. I hate saying that. You know, you talk about decades, Omni, and I look back now, having written my last novel. You know, I look back on decades, the 40s. Then you flip that calendar in the 50s, and it's all good, and the 60s. But the toughest for me, anyway, was flipping that calendar to the 70s. I don't want to go there, but I don't dwell on the age. You know
Sure.
why? Because I have that positivity and the giving back and the activity and the functioning and the value, and it does wonders for this thing up here. So all that you're doing is great stuff.
You
The
mentioned this earlier, almost bottling it, right? Like bottle,
yes,
could you bottle that? I was just starting to, when you're talking, thinking about like our bodies, if you're deficient in something, it's going to start to like crave it, whether it's a vitamin, whether it's, you know, whatever it may be, it'll start, it won't function at its peak performance. And you might actually start craving a certain food that has that whatever it is, because your body needs it. And it's almost like, you know, spiritually or emotionally, whatever it may be, sometimes we're deficient in things, and that's what this vitamin feels like the impact, the making a difference, the leaving a legacy is something that I think we all need at some point. I don't think
yes,
my 15-year-old or 20-year-old self needed that, but right now it feels like I am deficient in that. I need that to continue to feel whatever I'm feeling, right? And so it's all bottled somewhere, and at
yeah.
every time we're giving that drive to go find it, and I feel blessed that I have that drive, just like you, because you're doing great things because of that. And without that drive, like what would we be doing? What would we be doing? Right. And so I'm happy for that drive. I'm
Yeah.
happy for that obsession that it kind of sometimes makes us have. But you know, and until a new drive comes along, this is the path that I'm excited to be on.
Hey, this has been great, and I'm so glad it just fit, and it's so interesting when we logged on a while ago. And within 2 or 3 minutes, it was like instant. Oh, I said to myself, "Oh wow, this is great stuff." You know, cash flow, Breakfast Club, great stuff, really is, and I'm trying to slap people's face and say, you know, read this, because it's there. It's there. You know, the whole institution of self-help. It's a hard institution. You know, when a rocket ship lifts itself up 1 foot from the launching pad, it expends more energy in the whole, that 1 foot expends more energy than the whole trip to Mars or wherever the hell it's going. And I just got to get rid of this thing here. Okay. And it's the same thing with self-help, the Cash Flow Breakfast Club. It's getting somebody to open it up and start reading it and delving. And that's that 1 foot. But once you do, it gets easier and easier. And then it's an, oh wow, you're flying high and you're heading, you know, out into the universe. So that's my little metaphor. If
I
that's
love that metaphor. That's great.
Yep, that's my metaphor for a cash flow breakfast club. And I just came up with it, having met you, and I'm digesting what we've done here. So this was great stuff. And I'm inviting you formally, come back anytime, any shape, way, or form, if you ever want to put together some of the people from, the club. Hey, we'll do it. It's my pleasure. I'm loyal, and it's all fascinating for me, truly, and I'm trying to slap people's face. And again, thanks, Nanda, for kind of bringing us together. And I'm thanking you, and don't leave when we sign off. Just hang around for a minute. But wishing you merry, happy, healthy, all good things to you and the family.
And to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omni, for taking your time out. And I always I like to say this when it's appropriate. There was a Dirty Harry movie, Clint Eastwood, and at some point in the course of the movie, he said something to the effect, "You made my day."
Mhm.
So you made my day. You did.
Same here, Calvin. I appreciate that.
All right. So be well, to be continued.